Good morning, my YouTube friends. I did have a message planned for this week. The title of it is The Salt of the Earth. Salt and light. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. It goes on to say, You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Now these two things, salt and light, they're put together here in the 5th chapter of Matthew because they have something to do with each other. There are two ways of basically trying to say the same thing, which is that we need to be something in this world that makes some kind of difference. We need to, by our actions, stand out from among them, stand out from the crowd. I look at this basically two ways. First of all, we need to be willing to be who we truly are in Christ before the world. Okay? We need to not be ashamed of our identity in Christ before this world. We need to be willing to be who we are, to let our light so shine before men. And who we are needs to be something that makes a positive difference in this world. Those are the two things that I believe really make up being the salt of the earth, okay? If you have those two things going for you, and those two things are founded on Christ, then you can make a difference. And that's what I believe Jesus is saying here. We need to be able to make a difference. Now on the first part, not being ashamed, this can be a hard one for a lot of Christians. Especially new Christians, you trying to take those first steps out in faith before the world, and you're in a place where you're kind of afraid to really talk about who you are or the faith that you have in God now, and it can be really hard to come out before the world that's not going to be very accepting of you, and you know that, and to openly say, yes, I believe. I'm a believer, and I'm now trying to follow the way of Christ. That can be really hard. It can be a difficult thing to do. For some people, it's not as hard. Some people are just filled up with zeal, and they can do it pretty easily. But for a lot of people, it can be a tough thing. It's a tough adjustment to make because they know they're going to take some heat for doing it. And, especially to go from, not just admitting to it, but then going out and actually being willing to talk about it. That can be really tough. But it is what we're called to do. Not that we're called to go and push our faith down people's throats. That's not the point at all. But we need to be an example of Christ. And we do that by the way we live. It has much more to do with the way we live than what we say, even. So, and that's where the other part comes in, who we are. Who we are needs to make a positive difference in this world. Jesus said the two most important things, the things that all the law and the prophets hang on, are love the Lord your God with all your heart and mind and soul and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love for God, love for your fellow man. All the law and the prophets hang on those two things, okay? So, we need to be living that kind of life. People need to be able to look at us and see that there's something different about us. They need to be able to look at us and go, that's an uncommon person. This is a person who's very loving toward other people, very accepting toward other people. This is a person who's willing to serve other people. Uh, this is a person who's exceptional in hospitality and in giving and caring. And, you know, this is what, as Christians, we need to devote our lives to, because this is the way that Jesus taught us. He lived by example. He did a lot of teaching, but a lot of what he taught was also taught just by the way he lived. I mean, the very fact that he was God incarnate here on earth did not overcome the fact that he got down on his hands and knees and washed the feet of the disciples. I mean, he taught by example this attitude of humility and service. And he went out and he talked with the people who nobody wanted to talk to. And he loved the people that society considered worthless and beneath contempt. And he loved them, and he pointed them to God, and showed them that they weren't beneath contempt, but that there was a God who loved them very much in spite of all their sin. And this is the kind of people we need to be as Christians. The kind of people who make that kind of difference in the world. Who go out and find hurting people and minister to all their needs. Not just spiritually, but physically, mentally, whatever the case may be. We need to be willing to take time out of our busy lives and out of serving our own self-interests to minister to other people in every aspect where they have need. And by doing this, by ministering to the whole person, the person realizes that we really care. And we need to really care. I mean, it needs to not be lip service or something that we just do because we figure we're supposed to. We need to have a change of heart toward other people. We need to learn to see people with love and compassion, so that it's not a duty to do these things, but it's the desire of our hearts to serve God and man in this way. That changes us, and it changes the way the world sees us. And then they realize there's something different about these people, and it's a good thing. And then they want to be part of it. And that, in a nutshell, is my view on being the salt of the earth. Take care, and God bless.